watching M.O.D Entertainment. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and check out the website to get the gear. The link will be in the description.
Street life, catch me underneath that street light. It's that playground where we live and we lose lives. Street life, catch me underneath that street light. It's that playground where we live and we lose life. Street life, catch me underneath that street light. It's that playground where we live and we lose lives. Street life, catch me underneath that street light. It's that playground where we live and we lose lives. Who got a pumpers right here? It be getting fixed. They claiming G, then why they acting like a little bitch? And fuck the DMs and the IG, we be splitting wigs. We handle real, be the type where you ain't getting shit. Without recording, without bragging, never speaking it. Now tell your story, get them like your fools, be out of it. They claiming gangster, why they acting like some little kids? They want attention, is the reason why I'm cocking it. I love their smile once they
G-File.
Alright, now starting off right here in Chicago, we have one of the first Hispanic gangs to be in this area of Chicago on the lower west side of Pilsen. You have the Latin Counts, but the Latin Counts has changed names several times because when they first landed here, they were known as the Texans due to the fact that the family that moved there, the founder, they were coming from Texas, landed there. That's why, they gave themselves the name Texans. But when these Hispanic families started moving there, they were clashing with the Italians because there was an Italian greaser gang that was already in that area, known as the Taylor Boys, the Taylor Street Boys, and so there was tensions between obviously both groups, so that's the reason why they formed the gang to begin with, the Texans, you know what I mean, out of safety, but they abandoned the name about 2 years later due to the fact that they didn't want to associate themselves with the state in which they had moved away from, so they changed it to Sons of Mexico. Now Sons of Mexico City, because of their heritage, and they had that name for like about a year and a half, like about 2 years. But then the original founder had stepped down, and then the new founder, whatever, decided to change the name and gave it the name the Latin Counts, which is the name that they still use till nowadays. You know what I mean? But it is all the same neighborhood. You know what I mean? Just changed names several times. And they have been, the Latin Counts has been their official name since 1959 has been their official name, but they have been around since 1955. They are People Nation, so that is who they roll with, behind, the wall. Their colors are black and red. It's a Latino gang, but it's mostly Mexicans. Their symbol is the Count Dracula with a knight's helmet and a cross, so that's the cross with the 5 slashes above it, you know what I mean? And that's pretty much how they get down, how they do their thing, you know what I mean? And they're right there on, like I said, on you can find them near the 16th, 17th, and Lomas area. Is the heart of their domain, their dojo. That's where the original families had moved to, and so that's their birthplace, and that's where they get their identity, you know what I mean? And like I said, that area is just heavy rooted with a lot of gangs. There's a lot of tensions. There's a lot of, man, it be going down right there, homie. You know what I mean? That shit ain't no joke. But yeah, that's what's up with the Latin Counts right there. Continue to do battle and put their neighborhood on the map. You know what I mean? These guys ain't no suckers. They definitely hold it down right there for theirs, and continue to still put theirs on the map. You know what I mean? Also, right here in Chicago, we have the LB neighborhood, or as sometimes you see it as ILB. Either way, now the ILB stands for Insane Latin Boys, or the LB, it's just in Latin Boys. Now the Latin Boys neighborhood has been a neighborhood that was established right here since the 1970s. Is when this neighborhood has been established, and they're on the lower west side of Pilsen is where you find them at. You know what I mean? Now their neighborhood, their dojo, their main domain is on 17th and Reason. I think that's how you pronounce that street. That's their main domain, the heart of their hood. That's their dojo, homie. That's where they get it on and cracking. You know what I mean? Now they are People Nation. That's who they affiliate themselves when they're behind the penitentiaries. They're People Nation. Um, you know what I mean? And their colors are black and purple. Now, even though um, they have it's a Latino gang, right? They have a bunch of Latinos. They have more Mexicans than any other race. You know what I mean? So it has more. Is a majority of it is Mexicans, but they do take other races, but it's majority Mexicans. You know what I mean? Now their symbol is a spear with 5 dots and a Trojan helmet. You know what I mean? Um, so that's that spear with the 5 dots as their main symbol. You know what I mean? And even though the other neighborhoods around here, adapted the more the knight helmet, they went with the Trojan one, just to you know establish themselves as their own gang, because when they first started, they were going to be a part of the Latin counts, because the Latin counts were around before them. You know what I mean? But just they decided to do their own thing instead, and but continue to have like good relationships with them, like in that area, what's between Bishop, Latin counts, and Latin boys. You know what I mean? Because there was like bigger gangs around, so it was better for them to have an alliance. You know what I mean? Due to the common threat. But these guys ain't no chumps, ain't no pushovers. The Latin boys definitely with the business, definitely handle business. They still active. You know what I mean? They still get it on and cracking. You know what I mean? But that's what's up with the Latin boys, the insane Latin boys, right there. Continue to hold it down and put it on the map for theirs. All right, now also right here in the Lower Pilsen area, you have one of the neighborhoods that rose up the ranks pretty quickly. You know what I mean? Because they're not as old as some of these other sets around here, but yet they're large in number and and gain a reputation. You know what I mean? Which is the Bishops neighborhood. The Almighty Bishops. The Almighty Bishops were founded in the 1970s. You know what I mean? Obviously in the Lower West Side Pilsen area. Now, their main domain, their dojo, the heart of the hood, is on 18th and Bishop. That's why you see, written up 18th, so not to be confused with 18th Street, the Sureño gang. You know what I mean? They're located on 18th and Bishop. So, that's why you see it sometimes written up like that and stuff like that. So, not to be confused. That's their main domain. That's the heart of their hood, that's where they get it on and cracking. And they are also People Nation. You know what I mean? Because they feud with the Latin Kings. Machin. It's probably. There's several neighborhoods that they beef with right there, but their beef with the Latin Kings has already extended for quite some time. Now their color is black and copper. That's their color. And this is also a Mexican gang. It has Latinos, but it's mostly Mexicans. You know what I mean? So it's a Mexican gang. That's how they get down. And now their symbol is a bishop's head, with the bishop's hat and a cross. So that's the cross with the line resting on top of the line resting on top of each point on the cross. It's pretty much how you see it up. You know what I mean? In their graffiti, their drawings, their tattoos. You get what I mean? That's pretty much how they do. Now, the bishops have a pretty close bond with the Latin counts. You know what I mean? Since the beginning, they have always had a good relationship with them. Because they're in the same common area and share the same common enemy. With the Satan disciples and the Ambrose. So you know what I mean. So that's why they have like an alliance. And technically they kind of like were started by the Latin counts. It's like they branched off of them because they were supposed to be like kind of like one whole neighborhood, but just the bishops wanted to do their own thing, but still kept like a close bond. You know what I mean? Due to same common enemy and all of that. But like I said, the bishops, they rose up the ranks quick. Expanded their territory, gained his reputation and held it down. You know what I mean? And continue to do so. You know what I mean? Because it is large. And active. You know what I mean? They get it on and cracking. And like I said, it's a war zone right here. You know what I mean? There's just so many neighborhoods jam packed in this area. But the Almighty Bishops continue to hold it down for theirs and put theirs on the map. You know what I mean? Now here's also in Chicago, you have one of the more defined neighborhoods, which you have the Imperial Gangsters. You know what I mean? Now, the Imperial Gangsters were founded in 1964, but it has said to go back even further than that to 1962. Is when they were established near the Logan Square area. You know, on Humboldt Park. So the West Humboldt Park area is where this neighborhood was when it was established. Now, they were originally known as the Imperial Spanish Gangsters. Then they just dropped the part and just now, it's Imperial Gangsters. You know what I mean? Now, they are Folk Nation, so that's who they roll with. Folk Nation. Now, their colors are black and pink. Black and pink is the colors that they choose to roll with. They're a Latino gang, but mostly Puerto Rican, so it's mostly a Puerto Rican neighborhood. Now, their symbol, because when I'm pretty sure you guys are wondering why, because I said black and pink. Now, is due to the fact that their symbol is the Pink Panther. The Pink Panther is the symbol of their hood. It's a Pink Panther with a shotgun and the 7-point crown. Now, the 7-point crown with a G in the middle is how you see it up, their symbol, how they get it down. Now, why I say a defiant gang is that when this neighborhood was established right there close to the James Russell Lowell Elementary by Harwich and Spalding, I think that's how you say the name of those streets. It put them in conflict with the Latin Kings. You know what I mean? Because the Latin Kings, started around the same time as them, but they were the dominant Puerto Rican gang in that area, right? Like the rest of the other Puerto Rican gangs ended up getting into the Latin Kings. You know what I mean? They pretty much just either join or go up against us. So these gangs just decided to join the Latin Kings. That's how they got big so quick. You know what I mean? But the Imperial Gangsters, chose to decline that offer. They chose to refuse. So the Latin Kings, said, well, it's on and cracking. And they've been at war ever since, homie. You know what I mean? Since 1964. So that's already a long time that they've been feuding. You know what I mean? But the Imperial Gangsters ain't no chumps. Ain't no, even though these guys were a lot more larger and stuff like that. The Imperial Gangsters, hold their ground. You know what I mean? Never let up and just ended up, doing battle and gaining more territory, along the way. You know what I mean? They started spreading and, taking, other chunks of turf. You know what I mean? You know, that's the reason why they ended up catching beef with like other neighborhoods around the area, like the Gaylords and other white gangs that were starting up roughly around that area. You know what I mean? Around the Logan Square area, because they're all right there jam packed. But like I said, this neighborhood is still with the business, continue to still represent as such, and hold it down for their area. You know what I mean? These guys ain't no suckers. But that's what's up with the Imperial Gangsters right there. All right, another neighborhood that we have right here, but it's roughly one of the more smaller neighborhoods. You have the Latin Stylers, or the Maniac Latin Stylers. You can see it up, different ways. You know what I mean? They were founded in the 1960s, near the Logan Square, by Kedsin and Diversity. I think that's how you say those names. Now, the Latin Stylers were known as the Latin Stylers, the Young Stylers, the Maniac Latin Stylers, the Renegade Latin Stylers. So you know what I mean? They had different names. You know what I mean? But the one that they use now is either the Latin Stylers or the Maniac Latin Stylers. That's how you see it up. They're Folk Nation, and their colors are gray and maroon. That's the color that they use. They're a Latino gang, but mostly Puerto Ricans. That's the majority of their symbols: a shield with a pitchfork and the 1980 present. Now, the Latin Stylers were people say that they started in New York, but they didn't start in New York. They actually started right here in the Logan area. You know what I mean? They were a small group, like I said, one of the more smaller gangs. You know what I mean? Roughly about only like about 30 members. And then they ended up expanding all the way to Ashland and Foster on the uptown of Edgewater neighborhood. That's where they ended up setting up shop right there and establishing them. When they first started, they were more of a, like a group of young, Latinos who used to like dressing fresh and partying and all of that. You know what I mean? But that they ended up catching beef with several of the white gangs that were in the area. Like the Gaylords, the Insane Popes, and several other groups. You know, that's when it just turned into gangbanging, instead of partying. Shit got hectic and it got on and cracking. They established a good relationship with the black gangster disciples. You know what I mean? And they went to war and it was on and cracking since then. You know what I mean? Going at it with several different neighborhoods. Like I said, that area is just jam packed full of a whole lot of gangs. But the Latin settlers continue to represent theirs and put theirs on the map. You know what I mean?